I paid a cop to be the boss. All right, so that's the energy. This song by James Brown, Boss, right? Was the foundation. Okay, y'all know I do everything by music. And the other day, when I was preparing for this seminar, okay, I I had a lot going on. And I was like, what's the message? Okay. When I come on here and I do my seminars, um, there's a few things. We come on here for about 2-3 months and then I go on my hermit mode. Okay. That's just how I operate. So for the ones who are returning, hey, coming to the table again. And for the ones who have been loyal to the cause, welcome back. Okay. This foundation of it pays to be the boss. Okay. Um, this is about primal energy. Okay. Welcome to the Alchemist Abacus. Okay. And if you don't know, Abacus is an instrument that was used as a calculator before the calculator. Okay. So this is like a spiritual alignment. Every segment that I have is that. Okay. We come up with different names, different themes, right? The last time I did this segment, it was on Instagram, beautifully spoken. And then I went to TikTok to do the tantric readings, the fortune cooking. I said fortune cooking. Yeah, we was talking about a lot of food, but soul food. But I was doing a lot of my tantric readings, the erotic readings on TikTok. So the last time I did seminars, it was on Instagram. Okay, but I just want to play James Brown. That was the theme music, okay, for this week. We are entering Mercury retrograde. There you go. It's thick in the air, especially for earth signs, okay? Um this particular seminar, okay, is about navigation. Okay. When I first started off spiritually, I would say consciously aware, right? I was really young. Okay, I like to think, not even think, I was a flower girl. I'm not going to say a chosen one, but I chose myself. But I do think there's certain people here that are just in divine order. They come here for a certain reason. I like to think I'm one of those people. Okay, when you are one of those people, you get put under a lot of pressure fast and early so that you can develop in a certain way and then help those around you. Okay, so I have a lot of different titles. All right, practitioner seems to be the fancy word that everybody's using now. So I'm not going to use that. I would say more so of just a tantric god. Okay, so I know how to alchemize the most tough and heavy energies. Okay, one day if my life is out there in that type of way, you guys will see what I'm talking about. Okay, I know how to handle the most intoxicating energies. I'm talking about gang stalking. I'm talking about society's going against you. I am the heaviest energies that you can think of. Okay. Now, again, going back to the framework of all of this, um, the abacus is again an instrument. So we're going to be decoding the spiritual energy into what our physical life is. Okay. And again, I use these themes and uh, this way of navigation for you guys so you guys can understand because a lot of what we're dealing with and what we see and what we don't see are so complex that you have to make it fun for you guys to tap in. But regardless of what, if you're here and you're long-winded into it all, you're invested into yourself. Congratulations. All right. All right. So we're just going to talk about when I was relaxing yesterday. Oh, before I move forward, I apologize. Let me say anything far as music, art, products, please email me. I am cutting off my DMs. Before we get started, let me just say this, okay? You guys will not just have access and the ability just to reach out to me. I have to set some better boundaries, okay? I have a lot more within the capacity that I have to hold. So I have to make sure that we run a tight ship, okay? So we will still engage, but it will only be in one portal, one way, one gateway, okay? And that is through, I would say, aka strawberry letters, but I'm gonna call it just transmissions, okay? When I give you guys spiritual homework, you guys can reach out to me by email. The email is in right below description, okay? So you guys can email me and I will respond every time I go live every Wednesday and when we do our homework with each other. Okay. And I'll either read your email and you can be anonymous, whatever. Okay. But please do not reach out to me on any platform. Okay. If I know you and we locked in, we locked in. And if I need to network and connect with people, it's gonna happen in a different way, not through the DMs. Okay. Thank you. Any other announcements before we dive in? I think that's about it. All right. So before we pull cards and we get into the energy of what's going on collectively, and I can see what's going on, I'm going to give y'all homework and we're going to talk about some spiritual things. And again, this segment is about navigation, discernment. Okay, knowing when to push through and knowing when to pull back. Okay, knowing when to move and when not to move. Now, where I got this week's seminar from, because when I go live, it's not just me getting on here talking and just pulling cards. That's not what we're doing. I take this very serious. I believe that speaking your words is a form of manipulation in a lot of ways. And sometimes when people are in a certain state, mentally, physically, financially, whatever, and they watch videos, it impacts people. So I believe this is like leading people or misleading people. And I choose to lead people regardless of what anybody thinks. Okay, I don't play anything that goes out in the world. I practice universal truth. No dogmas, none of that. Okay, that's not what we do over here. So it's about universal truth, so that each person, neighbor, friend, whatever, everybody can connect in a way that is respectful, right? Because we all live in a certain dynamic or different dynamics, but we can still hone in. A lot of people seem to think that just because the world is like yin and yang, that a certain energy is supposed to be here and living here, and that's not how it works. But it's going to have to start with ourselves. So I believe in universal truth. Now, when I was meditating the other day, I was like, Spirit, what are we supposed to talk about? Because I'm gonna be honest, I didn't want to do this. I did, but I didn't. Okay. But I've been pushed to, and I have to listen, right? So I was meditating the other day, and I was just doing yoga. I was drinking water. I was like, what am I supposed to talk about? There's so much to talk about. And as I'm writing, I just decided to go within. I'm like, what do I need to focus on about myself, Spirit? That's what I started. I started with self. And I was like, man, there's so much that I could talk about with my personal life or not, or just my. I was like, where do I start? So I started writing and I was just laying down. And as I'm writing, there's a man with a blower. He's like, "Ah," and I was deep into something. I asked and the information started to pour. And I got excited. I was like, yeah. I started writing. And as soon as that energy was like excitement, and because I asked, I said, Spirit, what am I supposed to talk about? And as soon as I asked, I got it. And I started writing. I got excited. I'm writing. And then the man comes by and he starts blowing. And then I hear a woman behind me arguing with somebody. I'm like, okay. So in that moment, I actually try to force myself to continue writing. I was like, all right, I'm gonna block it out. This is what I do best. I'm gonna block it out. So I kept writing. And as I was doing it, I stopped and realized that I could force myself and write through it. All right. But I said, self said what? I said, if I keep writing, it might taint the energy. So I was like, I remember in the moment just being like, go ahead. So I waited for him. It took about maybe a couple minutes, but I was patient. I didn't feel the need to force. I say nothing. It was just like, I'm going to let it be what it is. But I'm not going to force myself in something that I want to hold in capacity without anybody into it. And something is trying to interfere. This was the energy. I'm giving you the equation of when you are in a certain momentum, you got a certain energy rolling, and something is trying to force itself in to interrogate you, to move you, to shake you, to scare you. It's all fear, right? That's the only way. That is literally the only way you can pull somebody, distract them, and destroy them. It's fear. Just even a small mustard seed. Well, It's got to be big enough. But what I'm saying is, in that moment, I'm using myself. It's going to lead to your homework, and then we're going to get to the tarot. In the moment of me writing and having this fulfillment or overwhelming feeling of, oh wow, I just asked and I just received. Like I asked God about something and it came immediately. Sometimes it comes in waves. Sometimes it comes at night. Sometimes it takes 2-3 days, 5-7 business days. This time it came fast and I was ready and I had a pen and I was writing. And something, even if it wasn't nobody, it was still an energy of trying to interfere with my comprehension or my ability to process or my ability to put what I see or what I hear in my head down on paper. And what I mean by that is the creative energy that I was given. So at that time, I could have forced myself to keep writing, but I felt the need to stop. And when I stopped, everything went accordingly. I was able to still hold that space for myself. And I thought to myself, if I would have pushed myself writing this while all the noise and all that chaos was around me, I wouldn't have probably got the same information I got. That's what I realized. And then it was that moment I was like, yeah, that's the message. Because that it could have went two different ways if I would have forced myself, right? Because I was so excited, so in the moment. Like in the energy of ain't nothing gonna hold me back, ain't nothing gonna stop me. Sometimes you push yourself through a space where you're meant to stay still. And that's related and it goes to navigation and discernment. You have to discern when you are supposed to navigate. Okay? So here is the equation I came up with. All right. This is the sacred arithmetic that goes with it. I put here force plus friction equals division of power. Instead of fighting the noise, I became the circle. I held my center, I anchored my geometry, and allowed the internal victors, the noise, to pass right by the boundaries without penetrating my space. And that was perfect timing. Right here, I have the equation for you. I'm going to let you see it. It is ED equals FI over NE. Okay. And this is, right here is discernment. So ED represents discernment. And then FI is internal frequency, which is your primal energy, over internal friction. Okay, I'll let you see it really quick. ED equals your discernment. FI equals your internal frequency. And then NE is the internal noise. Okay. So it's push versus brace and movement versus stillness. All right. And then I already gave you guys the example. So here's your homework. I have it written down. Give me a second. Did I not write down the homework? I remember it. Doesn't matter. The homework is this. Okay. That's the reason why I gave you the equation. I need you to, here, let me show you again. Write down this equation. Because this is your homework. And if you do your homework, I may give you a free reading. Okay. Maybe 15 minutes, but you'll have something for free if you show it to me. Okay. You have discernment equals internal frequency, your primal energy, over external friction and noise. I need you to write this down and I need you to write this. Let me know or let yourself know, even if you don't plan on sharing it with me, right? When was a time where you, or even if you're experiencing it, it could have been your past, it could be in the moment, or it can be something you can see coming to you, right? Your internal frequency is what are you placing over all of the noise, okay? So I need you to come up with a few things that you can do to allow the noise to pass, okay? Use this equation, and I want to write, I had a full question to this. This is what happens when you have multiple journals. I have the homework written down. Or did I write it down? I don't think I wrote it down, y'all. Because it was more to the homework than that. It sure was. That's okay. I'm going to place the homework in the description. Okay. Right there where my email is. You can email me. Okay. Your equation and what you got. Okay. And then I can read it out loud. It doesn't have to be, I won't say the name, of course. You can stay or remain anonymous, or you can just share it to me. But let me know in the email. Okay. But that's your homework. I need you to take that equation and I need you to write how you can allow the noise to pass without penetrating your energy. What can you place your own primal energy, unless, because I went deep into this. I just didn't go deep into it now because we're 15 minutes into primal energy. Okay, I know you've probably seen this before. All right, a better picture. Where's my other phone? Another picture would be this, because that's just my own drawing. One tab. I had 1,000 tabs open. Oh, here it is. All right, primal energy. Anyway, why is this popping up so slow? Y'all, Mercury retrograde is finna be so thick, but I think this is gonna be really great. If you're minding your business, which that should be first nature anyway. So if you're not a person who minds your business and you like to be and gossip and everything everybody has going on, this is not the time for that. I'm telling you, this is like misplacing. This is like grabbing gems and putting it in a basket and accumulating, and then there's a hole in the basket. This is a time to really like hold on to the information that you're getting right now. This is not a time to be breaking up with people, cutting things off if you've already had something. Something was good, and this time comes up and you start questioning things and you think something's going on in relationships. It's probably not the best time to just, So it's a lot going on with communication. If your words are mixing up, stuttering, or whatever, there's a few herbs that you can use for um there's a couple sigils. There's a couple of things you can do. All right, I just go to sigils first. All right, because it's something that you can keep. It's not something you have to keep buying. I love herbs. I do ground myself with herbs. And there's a list. If you need help with herbs or just different things you can that you need for your life, elemental speaking from the earth, then email me. Okay. But when I was creating this homework, it was the primal energy. All right. And the primal energy is basically like it's the philosopher's stone, which is mind, body, and soul. It's the square represents earth, fire, air, and water. Right. This square is how you protect yourself. This is the way that something can come in and destroy things. And there's a lot to sacred geometry. And we're going to break this down next live. But this is where I started with when I got this information. Okay. Because ultimately, what this represents is when chaos surrounds you, or because that's all it is, that's all it can be. All right. You have to basically invite it in. That's the only way that chaos can come in and basically destroy something. Now, this sacred geometry represents you being in your primal energy and being able to protect yourself with your own energy. And when it comes to fire, air, earth, water, earth, especially at this time, I would say big on walnut, anything dark. Okay, anything dark, any herb that is dark and heavy, especially round. John Conquer root. Okay. So y'all have y'all's homework. I need you to write down the equation. I need you to write down um, how will you discern when you're supposed to be quiet and allow something to pass through so it doesn't penetrate your energy, and when you're supposed to show up and put full force into it. All right. So I need you guys to do that homework, and then we'll move into the tarot, and that'll be it. Okay. I am going to make sure it's like I'm not gonna say I feel rusty, but just a little bit. Because when it comes to taking spiritual energy and breaking it down, especially when it comes to like sacred geometry, I try to break things down to where a second grader could get it. Okay. Because I don't judge the level of comprehension that people have. And sometimes it's just, as you can see, you look into the world, a lot of people, common sense just ain't common sense. Things that we or people who get what I'm saying and what I'm talking about so easily, other people don't get it like that. So a lot of times I'm trying to find different ways to break it down because I'm good at doing that in my own way, especially relating to music and culture, and that's the reason why culture is so impactful now. All right, let's move to the tarot. I think I do a pretty good job, but it's been more than 4 months, so I am going to pull from 3 to 4 different decks. I'm going to show you just in a second. Let me get the music right. I might have to pay that little ad on YouTube because, baby, y'all know every time I go live, I complain about YouTube ads. All right, let me shuffle these really quick. Oh, that's the intro. What we gonna play? Let's do this one. I'll just play that one. Give me a second, y'all. All right, I did just play this one, but it's my favorite. This is Joseph Days, y'all. It's a band, one of the best bands ever. All right, so we're pulling from the Sacred Creators deck. We're also going to pull from my favorite, the Black Tarot by Victoria Ava. I love this deck. It's my favorite. This gets straight to the shadow work. I made a video about shower work. I mean, we can do shadow work in the shower. But I want to say this is on Instagram. This is like 2019. We were talking about shadow work, and I don't think I mean, every live I have, we talk about shadow work, but I went really deep into it. So we may have to do another one. It may be the next video of shadow work. So we have this deck, and then I think I'm gonna pull from either my Kipper deck. Okay. I love this deck. Oh, man. I wonder if they tag the videos, flag the videos for advertisements. All right. Let me get in my zone. Because when I start pulling energy, that's different than getting on here and talking about sacred geometry. I feel the need to take a really deep breath, okay? I always promote fire breaths and breath work, okay? I just feel like your life when people ask for immediate change, if you really want to activate immediate change, go to your breath. It literally corresponds with everything, okay? So the Kipper deck, I split the deck, or did I split it? I did. Got sudden wealth at the top. All right. Let's start with these first. Okay, so I see with my third eye, people like it's like the level of chaos, okay? So when I say I do collective readings, you can be in the UK and connect to me, okay? Because I have some, shout out to the UK. I have a lot of people in the UK, different countries, okay? So when I say collective, what I mean is you are spiritually connecting to the energy that I'm speaking on, and it resonates somewhere in yourself, regardless if you know it or not. Well, I would say you have to know because you either gonna stay or you're not. Sometimes the things, no, a lot of the times when I speak, it will be about complex, esoteric, and occult knowledge. Okay. So I promise you, if you're listening to me, you're like, what is she talking about? Give it 3 months, 6 months, or 9 months attached to my channel, and you will find yourself in a different space spiritually. Okay. So there most certainly needs to be some type of shadow work is going to come up because splitting this deck was a little thick. Okay, felt like you taking the opposite ends of magnets and trying to stick them together. Okay, I felt a certain level of resistance. So some of you guys have maybe been running away from the truth, or just certain things that the child in you has been pushing away. All right, we have the Eight of Pentacles on top of that. Again, if you would like to submit even certain questions, or if you want to play a part into what we speak on over here, as far as the arithmetic that we'll talk about, the spiritual arithmetic. Some of you guys are also going through like a very you know how people talk about baptism? This is something like, it's like a spiritual initiation. This is like you close your eyes and you can feel it. Some of you guys feel like spirit guys around you or in your presence. There's a certain level of protection that you guys have. Um, but you're about to go through this like pushing. I see a lot of ancestors, people who are not here physically, like covering a child, and like it's almost like putting them in the Nile River and sending them down, right? This is the energy of also like cultivating a certain level of power through bloodline work. So maybe you were overlooked for a really long time, or maybe you felt disconnected from a lot of people around you. So this is like cycle ending. So some of you guys are closing out new old cycles, and a new cycle is here for you guys. Okay, so this is like another word of death and transformation, or death and rebirth. Doesn't mean physically, it's just spiritually. Okay, because when I touched my soul cards, I kind of got lightheaded. That's why I said that. Some of you guys may feel lightheaded. Maybe you guys need to activate your water. There's a few things that you can do when you activate your water. What does that mean? All right, when you guys go buy water, especially if it's in plastic, it's steel, it's stiff. It's like a wig, not playing. Not my wig. It's like it's just stiff. All right, so to activate it, I would suggest, if you have the means. If not, we'll get to that. A glass jar, a container where you pour your water. Of course, when you get home, take your jugs of water, depending on where you get it from. Even if you get it from a certain well, if you have a source of water, please let me know. I know one person, but I need some more sources. Thank you. Okay. Shout out to Callaway Water in Georgia. Um, but you want to activate your water. So how you do that is you add things like lime. Now, I don't use regular limes, but I use key limes. They're the small ones, okay? And you want to have a good source of it, okay? You can tell you have a good key lime by the way it smells. I smell everything. If you can't smell your fruits and your vegetables, somehow they're GMO, even if it's a little bit. I know there's a way. Everybody's like, well, there's everything is, resources have been very strict out here. We'll say that, right? So there's a, where there's a will, there's a way. Okay, so we gotta do. You gotta just be strategic. You gotta connect. There's always out here. There's always people out here willing to help, willing to share, willing to give. Okay, please don't think that people are not willing to give. Okay, um, but just heavy on the resource of water right now. Okay, so when you go buy water, you want to activate it by putting lime in it. If you only have like limes and not key limes, that's fine. You want to speak into your water. You want to put walnut in your water. You want to put, um, sometimes I put roses. It just depends. If you don't like flavored water, I don't know what you're going to do out here. I don't even know what to tell you. You can juice. You know, juicing is probably the highest form, but if you have water, I would say just make sure that you, let me show you my water, what it look like. I don't know if you can see it. Look dark, don't it? Can you see it? This is going to help you to be able to transition a little bit better into this new cycle. When you learn things spiritually, your body, it takes time. Okay, it takes time. It takes it, especially now. There's a lot of energy going on right now with Virgo, which it rules the body. So if you have back problems, or you've been hurt or impacted in certain areas in life, and we are going to talk about somatic healing, okay, because I do practice a certain level of shaman, okay, or shamanic energy. But if you've been impacted in any type of way, and you've been brushing it off, and you've just been pushing yourself to work, and just, you're gonna feel it. If you feel sore right now and you're aching, it's because your body is speaking to you. Okay. All right. But I felt that when I, in these cards right here, heavy on a drink a lot of activated water, because you are A part of you is dying, okay? And a part of you is being reborn. So you're going to need a lot of water to push you through, basically, okay? Dang, I should have never cleared my history. All right, let's get started. I want to use these cards too. I'm so ready. I ain't gonna take that. Let me just keep that to myself. All right, what do we have? I'm going to start with this, and then I'm going to leave. We're going to go into the shadow work after this. We're at 30 minutes. Okay, that's not bad. Because we're going to fly by this. At the bottom, we have temptation. Okay? We just talk about navigation and discernment. So if you're just coming in, you're going to have to go earlier. Go back to what we were talking about earlier. We're talking about navigating, and I gave you guys an equation and some homework. Okay? Temptation and mental conflict, because this wouldn't be here if you had a certain level of discernment or knowing. Okay, so that's just me. Snickers peanut butter, creamy and crunchy. Really, in the middle of a song, you two? That's extreme. In the middle of a song is crazy. That's actually. So there's a lot of distraction out here, and it's coming in a form of temptation. All right, masculine and feminine energy. You guys, I am still going to bring back my erotic readings, but I am thinking about a theme. Okay, so it's still going to be the erotic fortune cookie, but I got to figure out how I'm going to do it because it can't be the same. All right. What's the base? There's a lot of distraction. I've stopped multiple times. Even just doing this reading, I felt very nervous. Very nervous. And I'm not a person that's nervous a lot. And even if I feel nervous, I can just push through it easily. There's a lot of heavy energy. I can tell that I've been away for some time. All right. We have rejoice in celebration and suffering in silence. All right. That kind of is contradicting in a way. So we'll see destiny and stand your ground. The number 9 and the number 3. Okay, I see. Material harvest at the bottom. Give me a second, because when I start pulling cards, I start getting a lot of different scenarios. Let's see what this is. I'm just going to turn this off because I don't have time for ads to keep popping up like that. Suffering in silence and rejoice in celebration. This, honestly, this gives me the energy of, this is like, this suffering in silence and rejoice in celebration is you having a celebration spiritually, but not being able to talk about it to the people around you. And listen, I get this. This is like finding out some information, or when a part of you dies and a part of you is reborn, it's not going to resonate with a lot of people around you, especially if they're not on the same level and frequency. If you have people who are not spending a lot of time internally working on themselves, it's going to show in their actions. Just going back to primal energy, it's just going to show. So you guys may be entering, you guys have people around you that may even be natty. You see that gnat, just nat in your business, want to know. Just, it's annoying. So you guys may have people around you that see a certain level of change or growth, and a lot of times people don't even realize that you get so caught up in your own energy that you don't realize your growth, and not even having anything to do with money or material things. A lot of people will be upset because when you figure these things out and you grow, this ain't something you can buy. You can't buy spiritual wealth. You have to go through the grain, regardless if you're participating on the negative side or the positive side of things, intentionally, right? There's still things you got to go through. Even people who practice a certain level of manipulation where they want to cause harm to people in whatever way, that's those people still got to go through certain energies. You can't run away from that. And if you do, then you become I don't, you become the slave. You give consent away when you don't take the initiative to own your primal energy. That's really what that is. And when you're around a whole bunch of people who can't get with the program, they're stuck in outdated old paradigms and thought patterns and old bloodline issues, curses, whatever you want to call it, chains, cycles, whatever. When you're surrounded by people like that, you can't celebrate in a certain way. You got to be by yourself. And it can be a lonely journey when it comes to success, financially and spiritually speaking. Okay. I have died so many times and become different versions of myself, and people have attached themselves to the old versions of me, thinking I'm going to act and respond in the same way. And it's just like, baby, did you not know I was so dedicated to my life that you can't attach yourself to me in that type of way? And I've had people, places, and things and entities try to attach itself to me because of my energy. But being in your operating from a primal energy in a certain space, it doesn't have the power to do that. Okay. It may come and serve a purpose of wisdom. But when you reach a certain level spiritually, you then realize nothing has the power over you unless you give it consent. And this is like the energy of people trying to also manipulate you and make guilt trip you, make you feel like, oh, this can be by religion, this can be by groups of association, this can be family. I see a lot of you guys doing something different, and because you're doing something different, when you do something different, you start moving from a different mentality, spiritually speaking. You're going to have a certain level of boundaries up. And that's when the square comes into place. Okay. That square, that is your fire, air, water, and earth. And that is your north, south, west, and east. Okay. That is the masculine energy of protection around you. That looks like your rituals or the things that you do to protect yourself. Maybe you pray in the morning. Maybe you burn a certain incense that releases tension in the house. You open your windows. Maybe you play music. Maybe you play an instrument. There's different ways to cultivate the energy of protection around you. Okay. I just see you guys putting up a wall. You can use certain herbs. There's so many things that you can do with the elements, the four elements, right? You can mix them up. You can do one, you can do two. I say all of them together are more powerful, right? But suffering in silence and rejoice in celebration is about you winning internally, and you can't express it to everybody around you because then it shakes the foundation. And if you do have to start like projecting a certain level of information of people around you, like, hey, this is not what I believe anymore. That's fine that you do. I just need you to not do this around my kids. I just need you to not say this when we're at work. Or it can be, it just, right, goes in so many different ways. So you may have to speak up about this new information that you are digesting. You may have to use it. It may have to come in a form of you verbalizing certain things so that you can protect yourself. All right, but you're gonna have to have discernment with that, because I'm feeling like with this suffering and silence, it's not really a negative aspect, because right here I see if I don't move the cards, I have destiny and fertility and material harvest right here. Okay. I pay attention to the other cards that surround the main cards. um yeah, like I said, look how this person is sitting on top of this hill. They're excluded from everyone. You're going to feel excluded when you're learning something new. Until you are learning what you're learning that's new, you're around the same people. You found a collective of people that have the same mentality, right? Now you can still, there's two ways that this can go. All right, because I've been on one side and the other side didn't work. You can still be connected, and to a certain degree, when you know better, it's a certain responsibility to help the people around you. Now, you can take what you've learned, right? And because you know what you have learned, it's not going to mix with this crowd of people. Maybe you have a mom or a grandma who's like super religious, and something that they believe is going against this new profound energy or information that you come across. And you just know what you know is going to help. It sets you free. It's ultimately a key. It's a divine key, right? But it kind of clashes with something your family or someone that you know practices. Okay. You may have to verbally make sure that you know that energy doesn't intercept, but you may feel the need like I ain't about to cut my mom off because she believe in this. I get that. It will become a problem if you don't set a certain boundary, but there's an energy of you choosing to either be around the people or cut certain people off completely. Now, the only time I honestly suggest cutting people off because they have different ways of living is when that person is set. It gets tricky because different family members serve different places in people's lives. Not everybody that comes into your life with the title of mom and dad show up as mom and dad. Some people get moms and dads that try to take them out of the world. Some siblings. I don't I don't hold titles to authority. I hold actions to authority. Okay. And so some of you guys may be listening and say, hey, I got this one cousin, or I've had this issue with my mom or my dad or cousin, brother, sister, brother. It don't matter. It could be a pastor. It doesn't matter. If you feel like this person won't allow you to live your life the way you want, even if you have different thoughts and they're constantly trying to throw you fireballs or intercepting something you're doing, you're going to have to cut it. It doesn't even matter the title. Because then at that point, you have to ask yourself, are you going to be a sacrificial lamb for whoever's calls, or do you have a purpose? There's no moving out of that. All right. And then on the other side, a lot of the time when we learn new profound energy, divine universal truth, and it doesn't resonate with some of the people that we've been building with, but these are people that you love and you hold closely to you, you gotta pick and choose what you say around them. You can't pick a fight. You can't project onto them. You just have to live your life, allow it to show up, and allow people to look. They gonna call you. They you talk about navigation, discernment. Oh, the pastor talked about that in church. Oh, really, Mimo? Like, okay, cool. Then just dive into that. You don't have to prove a point. A lot of times when it comes to the spiritual energy, you have a lot of people on the internet. They're so happy to know a certain amount of energy. They just, it don't work like that. Okay, you gotta allow people to come to you, even if it's just one person. I don't care no more. I just put this information out here because I feel pushed to do it. All right. And I always listen to myself. When I don't listen to myself is when I found myself in real bad positions. So listen to yourself. I promise you, you won't guide yourself wrong. This suffering in silence is you learning how to have more of a container and capacity for yourself so that you don't need the validation of other people with this knowledge that you are coming across. Okay. Let's keep it moving. We're going to tap into the shadow energy. Okay. What is the shadow work? Or no, let me not ask that. What do we need to clarify when it comes to this rejoicing, celebration, and suffering in silence for the collective? Be precise. I heard it's electric. Dun, dun, dun. So maybe you guys are into line dancing. There's a lot of power in line dancing. We're going to talk about it one day. At the top, we have Ace of Cups. Okay. This is the highest cup that you could get. This is like God Himself giving you a cup. Okay. And what I mean by that is it's the ultimate fulfilling of it's an overwhelming feeling. Have you ever had such an overwhelming feeling of joy that you cried? If not, this is what this is. This is like crying and being like, oh my God, I'm so happy. This is like walking down an aisle and a man crying like, man, I done been through it. I didn't think it was possible. Okay. That's what this energy is. Okay. Let's see what came out. We have the Hermit. And we have the Two of Cups. All right. The Hermit is Virgo card. Okay. And let me just hold it up so you guys can see. Let me look at it first. Let me see what I pull energetically. I am an artist, so it's easy to pick up messages through art. I don't have to have cards. I can sit here and just sit and we can be on here for 2-3 hours and then we get the message. But if I use cards, it just pulls the energy faster. Okay. I'm gonna let you guys look at this. I'm hearing the song, "Hey, take me away." So maybe you guys are going on a vacation with somebody, a significant other, but this is about Hermit talks about going within with yourself, all right, with certain information. And we just talked about that. So this is kind of clarifying that. I asked for clarifying cards, and that's what I got. The Two of Cups also talks about, let me see, let me sit with this because I feel like it's something deep. Because we have the Ace of Cups on top. So we have the Ace because I'm seeing a pyramid. So it's like we have the Ace, which is the ultimate card, and then you have the Two of Cups. Okay, and then I was hearing a song. Hey, let's get away. Okay, hey baby, I was thinking of you. So there's someone who wants to escape. Someone may even feel like a certain level of solace with you, or like a certain level of sacredness. Um, Either you're feeling like this about somebody or somebody is feeling like this about you. Okay. So this is like one person going through life and like life, death and rebirth, right? A certain part of them dying. So a certain part of them, their true self can be reborn. All right. Replaced with the GMO you. And what I mean by that is you being influenced by things when you were younger, whether it was TV, family members, religion, whatever, that groomed you to have a certain mindset that you weren't supposed to have, and it confused you, and then you go through this walk of life with experiences showing you what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do, right? This is like you finding someone who's on the same level, or you come across someone who maybe knows more or you know more, and then you guys integrating in a hermit mode. So this is a certain level of cultivation. Let's pull. um Six of Cups and the Ten of Pentacles at the top. Yeah, there's something here. I also see the energy of someone pursuing someone. I think that was maybe for me. Let me push that out. I do see like hmm, it's like you guys, maybe you guys were pursuing someone and it didn't work out, and it's kind of like you get the energy in another way. I see a man that's going for a certain woman, and he feels like she feels like home. He can't put his. It's like you can't put your finger on it. It's like your soul resonates with her, and I don't know. Something happened to a relationship, and then it's coming up in a different way, but a different person is what it feels like. So this just feels like a soulmate energy. The Six of Cups talks about like nostalgic energy. We do have the Two of Cups here, so stop using the microwave and use the oven. Oh, I can't stand that. I'm about to unplug it and throw it out. I wish I could. Six, seven, eight. I feel like two people are coming together that are just like minded. So I see a relationship here. So this is around relationship. Maybe you guys are in the process of, pardon me, focusing on yourself. So it's the duality of dying. It's like, dang, there's so much going on in my life. I don't have time for relationships. That's not how it works. And I have to tell myself this too, because I just be willing to cut everybody off. And spirit is like, no, that's not how that works. It doesn't matter what you're going through. You still have to connect with people. So that's the resistance here. Some of you guys feel like you can't be in relationships until certain things in your life are right. Now, certain things depending on male and female, of course. For instance, as a male, it's not really responsible to pursue a woman unless your finances are in a certain place. Now, a lot of men may feel different, but it that means you go in with clean hands. You don't go in with so much baggage. For a woman, too much emotional baggage, if she can't carry a certain level on her own, it can sink a ship real fast. Even if you have treasure all over on the ship, it will sink it, if it's not anchored right. um the King of Pentacles came out with the Tower. Let me show you. Did I show y'all the Six of Cups? This is the Six of Cups. King of Pentacles. This is a very strategic man. This is the man who understands or overstands the value of currency, and it's past the fleshly desires. the material things. This is a man who sees the, even if he has 150K in his bank account. This is a man who's like, that ain't a lot, but I know what I can do with it so that I can build this, and this and this and this is connected. The construction business is connected to my homeboy that's politics, and I do this. This is a person who can see 10 to 15 years with what they have. Okay. Now the tower on top, the King of Wands behind this is competition. This is endowment is what I'm hearing as well. I am seeing a brooch. Oh, I forgot to mention that in the beginning of the movie. I said movie in the beginning of the seminar. Sorry, I was watching a movie earlier. Um, or maybe you looking at me thinking I'm in a movie. um, I meant to mention brooches. For them to be given to me, but we'll mention it another time. But I'm seeing endowment, and I'm seeing a certain level of someone carrying a certain level of energy, and it's like their ancestors are able to brag on that. Like some of you guys are walking bragging rights for people who came before you. The Six of Swords. This is the energy that we were talking about. Navigating, allowing certain energy to pass through, to not penetrate you. All right. And we have the Ace of Wands on top. Okay. So a lot of you guys, honestly, it's a lot of competition. And this is pulling on a lot of masculine energy, but ladies, maybe you guys are around a lot of sharks. Okay, this is shark energy, and this is about who you with. Shout out to Bernie Mac. This is like, who are you connected to? Even if it's people around the world, and to me that's the best position. All right, to have a community of people around you, to have a community of people around you, and to also work with the energy outside of you. Okay, and that goes so deep as far as to say the communication to like outside source. Okay. The Six of Swords here is going to be your key into how you succeed over competitors. People who put them or try to put themselves in the same space as you to compete, because that's what it is. Um, or you're just in a competitive um, cycle, and that can look like sports, entertainment, whatever it is that you indulge in when it comes to your career. The Six of Swords, I'm also hearing like it is becoming more heavier spiritually out here. If you're not tapped in with yourself in a certain way, you don't have a spiritual advisor, astrologist, you not tapped in, you ain't got no type of spiritual. I'm so glad I listened to myself when I did, and I took this journey, and I just didn't look back regardless of what has happened. It doesn't even matter what has happened. I'm so glad. I wish I would have listened to myself more. If there's anything I wish I can go back and do was listen to myself more. I only I only only found myself in really bad positions. I mentioned this before, when I didn't listen to myself. Never when I listened to myself was I ever in a bad place. So this is the energy here as well. The Six of Swords. It's swords. Any card in the deck. Damn, my words today. I should have brought my sigils outside. My Mercury one. All my conversation was choppy. And see, I'm such a Virgo. I'll be wanting to delete this video and do it again, but we ain't gonna do that. It is what it is. Any deck any card in the deck that is sword related, it's all about the mind. The swords in the deck represent mentality. All right, this is the exchange of you and another person, or you and the universe, or just yourself. Okay. And the Six of Swords, when you think of the number six, and I've mentioned before, I like to navigate with the numbers 369, so I call myself 369 goddess. Those 3 points, all right, are a triangle. And these are the 3 points of which, if you do things in threes, you do things in six, and do things in nines, you'll just automatically put yourself in that algorithm. But the number six is in the middle. You have three, you have six, you have nine. Three is here. Okay? That is yourself. That is the Trinity. All right? That's your consciousness, your body, and your mind. We're not about to go into deep dive of that because I want to stay in tune with this reading. The moment you decide that you're going to wake up and you're consciously aware of who you are, what you're supposed to do, how you protect yourself, and how to go about that, you go like this. Okay. And then that would be 6. And then after 6 is life lessons. That's typically in your 30s ish, right? This is when experiences come about, and then you die and rebirth. And then what happens? That 9. That 9 is completion. Then you you do it again. 3, 6, 9. And then this is what you get. 3, 6, 9. 3, 6, 9. 3, 6, 9. 3, 6, 9. And then you have new DNA. Push through DNA to the next legacy, to your son or daughters. That's how that works. Now that I've explained that, you know heavy on what the number is, right? 3, 6, and 9. This is 6. All right. Then we take 6 and then we add it to what I just told you. Swords represents mental. Mental and 6. What you gonna do? What you think that means? Well, I'm gonna tell you. Right now, a part of yourself is dying, right? Mentally. There's certain thought forms that you are like, I can't. And if you're not, this is what this is. Right? This is your shadow work. Certain things need to die if you want to be the victor of your competitors. There you go. Okay? And when it comes to this relationship, if you actually want relationship and you're like, look, I got a lot of things going on in my personal life. I don't know if somebody would be able to handle. You can't go into it like that. You have to think, okay, I want a relationship. I got this going on. I'm just gonna put it out there. If they take it, they take it. They don't, they don't. Okay? And then discern throughout that. Okay? Because it's like you guys, a part of you, this new rebirth is saying, hey, I can handle more. Okay? That's what this is. That's what 6 is. Now you can handle more. That's what that means. So mentally, you're gonna have to, the thought form could be, oh, I gotta do this and I gotta do that before I gotta be this person, or I gotta look this way for a woman to be with me. Typically, if you can provide and you can protect, that's all you need. And if you find yourself liking a woman who doesn't appreciate those two things, and or it can even be an insecurity. Maybe you feel as if because it always is internal before it's external anyway. Yeah, this is internal. This is self. There's something here with how you feel about how you look about yourself, even on like your bad days. Some of you guys just have a little bit of insecurity about yourself left, just a little bit. It makes sense though. All right, what else do we have before I move on? Let's pull from this deck. We've seen sudden wealth at the top. False person. And I see lovers. What's this false? But that's, oh, it's a highlight. And it's in between. So you have 6, right? And then you have 7, 8, and then 9. So we have the number 8 here. And I kind of feel like the insecurities kind of stemmed from a certain relationship. That's what it is. You guys are in a different place in your life now. And I see somebody going back and forth with themselves. 1 minute you want a relationship, 1 minute you don't, 1 minute you do, 1 minute you don't. If you even have the thought that you do, you really do. You're just trying to psych yourself out of it. You're telling yourself you can't. Okay? Now, on the feminine aspect, maybe you feel like you have too many things that you're dealing with and you don't have time for it. And I'm going to tell you, being a woman that has went through that energy or working through that energy of feeling like, hey, I have this I'm dealing with, I'm having this. As long as you can delegate what you have and you're not putting the heaviness on someone else, and you can talk to someone on the phone like, hey, this is what happened, express without giving the heaviness to them. When you give heaviness to someone about your own situation, you haven't dealt with it yourself. And I know that from experience. Okay? So as a woman, do I think you should still date if you have things going on in your life? Yes, because how else are you supposed to collectively make your life better if you don't join in forces? You know what I'm saying? Now, emotionally, because we're talking about the emotions of a woman. If you can't hold your own capacity of your emotions, no, do not date. All right, that's just the starting point. Of course, there's other things that go into that before you date, and you have to discern these people that come in. So these type of people don't come in and make you start over, and then you got to go back to 3, and you was just about to head to 9. Some of you guys are not doing 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9. Some of you guys are 9, 6, 3. You've been descending. Okay, going backwards. But I don't feel like that's anybody connected to my channel. All right, unless you just come over here to be nosy. But when you let people like this in, your insecurities come up. And insecurities, when people talk about that and just mention the word, it may sound so small. But insecurities are basically small little portal gateways for fear to enter, to come in. It can be literally this. You can get in a relationship with someone, they kind of, you allow them to have too much control, or you give them too much of your energy, right? And then they leave, you got to separate, then you got to go through this journey of self loving yourself again, right? Because you gave too much of yourself away, right? This is that insecurity can be this big, because you can show up to work, you can do your thing, right? But you still got to left a little bit of insecurity left. It can be this big, right? And then boom, something happens in the media, and then something happens here, and then you done picked up this energy, and then before you know it, that energy done blew your whole operation up. Okay, so insecurity spread, and they spread fast, especially in this time of day. So we can't afford to allow the wrong person in anymore, especially if you're in your 30s. Okay, especially if you done hit, you make dumb choices sometimes when you're younger. It's by default, especially if you wasn't really raised with the right resources or information, right? Then you spend your most of your 20s trying to figure it out. You do. I'm past my 20s, so I know. When you hit your 30s, that's when you it's like, okay, this ain't no game, this ain't no drill. You pass that point. That's the whole point of numbers. It connects with sacred geometry. It's all patterns, right? This false person, let's see, what is this? Let's go deeper. I'm about to end this though. Concern, and then we have official person. All right, okay, so this official person, and then get behind this. This is, even if this is not you, this is you. This is like future you in a way. This is an energy of, and when it says a official person, this also, it can be authoritative. This can be a person that overlooks, if you paying people, you got people on payroll, people listen to you, you're an artist, um, it's a person who is in control of themselves and they're navigating. Okay, the official person. All right, because when you navigate, 9 times out of 10, a lot of people don't know how to navigate, and move, and make moves, and um, get people to follow them. When you do have that power, that's an official person. You're an official person, because then you're accumulating numbers. Okay, and more numbers, the more power you have, ultimately, right? But this false person, and this can be a good thing. This is like building an organization. This is like a nonprofit. You start in a nonprofit and you choosing certain people to work in it, right? You want to be, some of you guys are concerned about the people who are coming with you next as well. Maybe this is something that you guys are contemplating on. The shadow work with that is you contemplating, do you let them go, or do they come with you? The whole system that's been built off of the algorithm of the pyramid, right, is the bottom half are the people who sacrifice themselves to keep the other half up. And the only way that, typically, how everything has always came out is if everybody realized who they were, then this whole world would low key collapse. So this is also like the energy of not saying abusing your authority and keeping certain people at the bottom, but this is knowing how to position certain people based off of what they give their time and energy to. All right, so some of you guys maybe participate in like a organization or a society of people who I picked up on this last year. When was it this year? We were just talking about resources and water. Maybe this is also like, because that's literally the whole point of certain groups and societies, is to keep certain resources to themselves. Which I think that was. What did you guys think how this actually does? You think just people just get in a group and just say, oh, we just want to be the boss of people? No, that's not how it works. It is about how you take your hands and dig it into the ground and you stay there. All right. Some of you guys may even be a part of certain groups and you may feel differently Some of you guys may ask yourself, like, how do I've committed myself to a certain group, I've committed myself to a certain cause, but I don't feel like that anymore. Some of you guys may be trying to figure out how you're going to strategically move yourself away from something you've attached yourself to. Okay. Let's go deeper. Message of concern. So this was exactly what I thought it was. Some of you guys may not want to speak on certain things because the people around you, you've built yourself up to a certain ledger, right? And now that you've realized a certain level of truth, you're like, oh shit, like I can't even speak on certain things because that will break my whole foundation. I feel you. So some of you guys are trying to strategically come up with a way of how to remove yourself or how to navigate. That's going to come back to what we were talking about in the very beginning of this video. Discerning navigation. When to force yourself through something and when you're supposed to allow certain things to happen before you move. It's like chess. I also had this concern. I told myself there's so much information I know. And for so long, I sat on it for years. This is information. The information I get on here and talk to you guys about is not something I realized last year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, like almost 8 to 9, 10 years plus. Okay. Um, I sat on information for so long because it was from a fear-based place. I was like, well, if I speak on certain things and people hear me talk, that lets people know. And then I got to a point where I couldn't run from the fact that I knew that this was a part of my calling. I didn't necessarily want to do it, but because I love to perform and sing and act, I was like, well, maybe I can incorporate all of these things in one. And I did such. And I also took a look at my natal chart, my birth chart, and studied it for years. I'm like, all right, so I know the aspects of myself: positive, negative, my strengths, my weaknesses. So I focused on my weaknesses of how to make them stronger. At the same time, the things that made me strong, I mastered them because I knew I was going to lead with that energy. This feels like you guys leading with your master energy, while the negative parts of yourself that are in those insecurities, that's the fuel. Your insecurities are your fuel. I used to feel like insecure to get online and speak to people, but the more I did, the more I realized it ain't really scary. Um, because who cares? But I honestly, behind the scenes, working on myself is what really helped that. It got to a point where I felt certain things attacking me or trying to come for me in certain ways. And it got to a point I was like, it was just this infinite energy of, if I had to go against the whole world, then I would. Let's go. Put them up, put them up, put them up, put them up. It was that energy, in that energy, and standing in that energy made me realize I don't even care. You say something wrong, you do something wrong, whatever. As long as it's authentic and it's the truth. You guys are being called to stand in your truth, even if you don't speak it at the time. Some of you guys may have to maneuver because this message of concern could be someone going back and saying, hey, we have rules to this society that we're in. You can't do this and you can't do that. And you're like, well, I don't feel this way anymore. You can't really speak on that. It's not smart to do that, right? Now I know a thing or two about defeating people who gang up on you. And I'll get ready to pull these other cards and then I'll talk while I do it. So I've talked about this on my channel a few times. When my younger youth years, I'm talking about as young as 6 to 7, 8, 9, 10. I will never forget. I used to always have issues with younger girls, and I was so playful and was so cool. It just didn't make any sense at that time. I didn't really realize it. Girls would literally put gum in my hair. My mom had to cut out some of my hair one time. These girls put gum in my hair because I would wear my hair out like this. My hair was real, 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 real long when I was younger. And girls would pull my hair and I would turn back and they would act like they didn't pull it. And it was a constant thing. And for so long, I thought that I can just ignore people. I just ignored them because that's what I was taught. At that time, my mom was very religious. Okay. So she still is, but I was just taught to kind of turn the other way and just ignore it. This is all going to be like a 360 of how we started off the video. Well, for so long, I just ignored it, but it was bothering me. That was the issue. I ignored it. I had no problem ignoring it because I was not focused on the people who were focused on me. I was going to school to try to learn, but it was such a distraction, right? It got to a point I was like, it got so bad when the girls put gum in my hair and stuff. I had other family members like, "Huh, we not finna play this. Like, come on, we need to teach you how to fight. We need to teach you how to defend yourself, right?" So, um, I defended myself when it happened, right? Again, and it set a different energy. But I came to realize as I got older and you mature, you can't handle all situations the same. And you have to be able to discern when it's time to speak on things, when it's time to not, when it's time to use your weapon, and when it's time not to. And especially when it comes to your emotions, if you can hone in that, all right, that is your consciousness, that's you, that's this is you in your space. If you can hone on in that, it changes everything around you. But growing up, I found myself, once I conquered that level of knowing when I'm supposed to speak and not speak and say something, because when I was younger, I found myself fighting a lot of girls. I hit a point where I was maneuvering in such a way, girls would then have to gang up on me. And that started, I want to say, maybe like elementary. I remember girls, like 5 girls coming to fight me. And I remember saying, like, all right, shoot, let's go. In my mind, I wasn't scared. I wouldn't put on the front in my mind. When the girls showed up, I was like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hit this one first. Then I'm gonna turn around. I'm gonna go around the back. I was I was always in this strategic set of mind. And I remember being ready, and my mom, she came outside. She was like, "No, you ain't about to fight." And she's like, "Go in the house." She made me go in the house. My mom made me go in the house. It's like I was ready to fight. I wasn't scared. So she made me go in the house. The girls left. When I returned back to school, they were like, "Oh, you was scared. You was scared." And I didn't feel the need to say anything. I just let it, because in my head, if it's gonna be a problem, then we just gonna settle it the way I know or how I want to do it. It wasn't more than what I wanted it to be. And so as I got older, it was the same thing, but it became bigger and bigger. More girls would try to fight. Gang multiple times. I fought 2 people at one time. I was in the ninth grade fighting. No, I was in the eighth grade fighting a girl that was in 11th grade with her cousin. They both was fighting me. I beat them up, if you ask me. I think I hold my own really well. I started to see that I could hold my own even when it took multiple people going against me. It got so severe. I had people going in groups. I had families. I had people, 5, 6 people. And when that wouldn't work, they went and got other people. And when that didn't work, they went and got this group or that group. I've had people to go in groups in different third parties and agencies. I'm talking more than 15, 20, 30, 40 something people. So it gradually got extreme, but each way or each time it was like I had the capacity because I always put my energy into myself. And when you operate from that primal source, it doesn't even matter how long something is, you'll always gain the most out of it. So some of you guys need to hear that, okay? Some of you guys may feel like, oh, well, I'm outnumbered. Well, with the right set of skill set, right? In a certain direction of how you navigate, it doesn't matter. I said all of that to say it doesn't matter. Just a little of my experience. Yeah, man, I've had a lot of gains. I've had people come in groups thinking I was by myself. All right, so what came out? Creator fire energy. Feed your artist and overrate your intuition. Let's see what else comes out. Create fire, and it's a triangle at the bottom. Ain't that funny? And we did say fire. Now fire is in the left corner up here, right? The triangle, the philosopher's stone, which is passion and rise. One more. So this is giving Phoenix energy, allowing yourself, a part of yourself. When it comes to death, and we've talked about this quite a few times on my channel, death, it has so many different ways of processing. Okay. And the first thing is honesty. Okay. You have to, not even that, truth. I would say truth with death. You need to know how death really operates so that you don't throw yourself in a combustion of air, just like floating with it. And what I mean by that is if you look at death as it's something that you go through and it ends, and that's it, then you can't even be honest with yourself. You won't even be able to go through the process of spiritual death right if you look at just physical death wrong. So this is a certain energy I'm getting with these two cards here. The bird and the fire, the flame, all right, the phoenix. The phoenix is a bird who goes through a certain transformation of death. Maybe it can be related to death because that's a real thing. People, I tell people all the time, like, especially when you have people that passed over on the other side, look, soul on fire. You have communication is still there. All right, when people die, it's not the end. I promise you it's not. Hell and heaven is a state of mind. Okay? Certain level of consciousness and cultivation in emotional space. Okay? This rising creator is saying, hey, please let this part of yourself die. Let me, I want to pull one more card. Because we want the pinpoint, the target. What part of the collective needs to shed and die so that they can complete this cycle? And next Wednesday, we can say they can do, within the time frame, they can do their own shadow work. The Two of Pentacles. We have the Two of Cups out here. So your choices, the choices that you make, shadow side of choices, consequences, the shadow side of Two of Pentacles. This is what I'm hearing. I don't know how I'm going to connect it, but it's just going to come through. It's like the mother energy. This is like, when your mom told you, don't touch that oven, it's hot. And you just had to see for yourself, right? Okay, now I see it. Thank you, Spirit. Okay, so this rise and creator and fire. What you're laying to rest with shadow work is going in y'all's head and a lot of people's heads. They have to go through struggle, or they have to struggle, or I gotta go through this so I can get this. No. Learn through the behaviors of other people. It's like Libra energy. That's like seeing someone say, hey, this is a car that drives itself. I'm just using an example. And you're like, oh yeah, I mean, I paid this much amount for a chauffeur, but I could just, get this Tesla. And then you see a whole bunch of people complain about health or this or invading the privacy, surveillance, and all this. Then you learn a lesson of like, maybe I really take privacy and surveillance to a whole different level. I'm not sure if I want that in my space. This is like you being more consciously aware in your space, right? To where you make healthier choices and not saying, oh, I'm just not making a choice and then feeling like you got to work yourself through it because you could have had another way. A lot of people are psyching themselves out by making a choice and then it impacts them in a certain way. And once it impacts them in a certain way, they say, oh, it was meant to happen. This was an alignment and this is what I'm supposed to do, not even realizing, no, they just made a really bad choice. So this is about the shadow work is what choices do you keep making over and over and over? All right. Where are you placing your passion? And it's not coming back in a reciprocal way. We have the Queen of Cups here too. The Ten of Wands. Another cycle that may be closing is you carrying, just carrying old baggage. What old baggage is this? What is this? What's this Ten of Wands? The Three of Wands. Oh, other people's baggage. The Nine of Pentacles. Carrying people's baggage that are not even a part of your team. If you're grown, some of you guys may even be carrying things for people that are not even a part of like your soul family, people you're supposed to be building with. Maybe you feel obligated to certain people. or even carrying the weight of how something is going to work out with you moving forward. The Three of Wands talks about moving forward, but there's two wands in front of you, and then there's one behind, which is funny because if you think about it, two at the top, one at the bottom, right? But in every deck, the Three of Wands, there's always two wands in the front and one in the back. The one in the back represents your faith, okay? Your unwavering faith at that. Unwavering faith is the equivalent of Jesus Christ and what he did. All right. Another example, Michael Jackson. People who followed a certain level of knowing and they didn't allow the outside to taint them in any type of way, no matter how harsh the circumstances was. And I talk about this on this channel a lot. Christ consciousness and what that is and how it's here already. How we're not waiting for it to come back and save us, but we're supposed to save ourselves with the information and the knowing. We are supposed to walk like Jesus. And a lot of people don't like to hear that, but it's just the truth. Okay? There's a reason why he was painted for all of us to see. And it's not because we're supposed to wait on him. It's because we're supposed to embody the same things that he did. And what he did was he had an unwavering faith that he was going to where he needed to go. And he was supposed to help the people that he was guided to help. Right? And he was supposed to believe in it no matter what. And there was a time from the word, it says that he once was like, God, why have you forsaken me? Right? There was a time where Jesus was like, hold on now. You told me this is what I had. This is not now. So it wasn't that he wasn't human, but he decided that, you know what, this is it. He had an unwavering faith that he never broke. You can get close to it. You can feel like you're breaking down, but you can't break. All right. This rise, this creator fire energy and rise is saying whatever the insecurities were. Okay, whatever you felt like you couldn't do because of this and that, you told yourself a lot of stories that protected you as a child. That's what you did, because that's what insecurities are. That's where they stem from. It's a seed that grows. Didn't we say that? We did. If you just now stepping in, you have to go back. All right, that seed had over the time grew, and other people played a part into it. Relationships, companies. Maybe you were in a relationship with a company, you put a lot of work in, and you made them a lot of money, and then they just let you go like it was nothing. Companies got to stop doing it because you got to keep finding the creatives out here. But that's a different topic because let's talk about the artists that are targeted for their information and their creative energy. This is also a certain level of what we were talking about in the beginning, protecting your creative energy. How do you do that? I would probably study a certain level of law, trust law. Look into that, okay? Do your due diligence. It's a long path and it's a long journey, but it's worth it. And that's what this means. It's a long journey, but it is worth it, okay? And guess what I see right here? Sacred mirrors. And mirror represents seeing yourself, right? And we're talking about the sacred geometry. Some of you guys are walking, or if you're connecting to this energy, you guys are, and I tell people this all the time, it's three different energies. You're not only doing this for yourself, but you're doing this for the people who come for you or after you, right? And the people who came before you. Because when you do the work, you set certain people in your bloodline free. They vicariously get to live it through you. You on a yacht celebrating, you pop open that champagne bottle. Your ancestors, the people that was with you or rooting for you, they get to experience that. You know that, right? Did you know that? I don't care what nobody tells you. I'm telling you, you can. I'm telling you, you can. I've experienced it. What anybody else got to say? I'm telling you, you can. All right. If the people before you benefit from the things that you do, you don't think the people in the past do? That's again the 3, 6, and 9 energy. Okay. All right. So I love the reading. Now, I think in the beginning it was a little choppy because I was trying to figure out how I was going to make something so complex, so simple. But I think it's just because I haven't been live in a long time. If you are interested in submitting your transmissions, your strawberry letter of the equation I gave you guys, let me give it to you again. It's your homework, okay? You are basically given the homework of, and this is the equation, so it helps you to remember, right? This right here, ED equals FI over NE. ED is your discernment. FI is your internal frequency, and NE is the internal noise. Okay, what are you putting? What's your internal frequency? What does that look like to you? What does that even mean to you? Internal frequency. When I was laying down on the ground, my internal frequency was I was laying down. I was in my energy. I was asking myself questions, and then I heard it and felt it and started to write it down. Once I was getting excited, here came a whole bunch of noise. In that moment, in that very second, I had to decide who I wanted to be. I could have pushed through, but when I started to push through, it didn't feel right. It just didn't feel right. So I honored that, and I put my pen down. I just put my head down, and I just rested. And I actually tuned in to what the woman was saying in the blower. So even if I was tuning it out, I was paying attention. I just let it pass. And once it passed, it gave me a certain sense of control. It gave me a certain sense of peace. It gave me, just in that small little act. A lot of times we underestimate the smallest things that we do and the biggest impact to ourselves that it has. Okay, the friction and force. I could have pushed myself through it, but I'm gonna be honest. If I would have pushed myself through it, I would have had 7 pages. I didn't even share a lot of this stuff with you guys. I would have had 7 pages of this stuff. It might have been 2 pages. Who knows, right? But I have a strong sense knowing that if something makes you feel uncomfortable and you push yourself through it anyway, there's a high price to pay for that. Something just tells me it's a high price. I think we probably already experienced certain things like this anyway in our lives. Is there any time that you pushed yourself through something physically? Maybe you went to work. I'm gonna be honest. I've had it work. I will never forget. I used to work at this company, Freightliner. Y'all had a man's job, and I had no business doing that job. But they was paying a certain amount, and I was like, "Ooh, let me get it." I worked on the chassis line, and if you know what I'm talking about, if you work at Freightliner, you hear that somebody say that, you like, you work on the chassis line. There was a hot ass truck coming down. The bears, the interior of the truck, the foundation of the truck, where the axis is planted on it, right? It just got painted and it was coming down the line, and I would have to take 7 airlines, 2 or 3 or 6 of them, big thick airlines, and pull them through the truck, tucking it. I'm telling you, I had the hardest job, 12 hours, but it was third shift job to kick my ass. I ain't gonna lie. I don't work first, I don't work second, I don't work third. I done had every job you could think of. Anyway, I said all of that to say it was breaking me down physically, to the point where when I was coming home, my son would be like, "Mommy, mommy," and this is what jobs do, especially in the women. Okay, and not to say a woman can't handle it. I just personally found for myself, it went for me. Okay, not too much hard labor. Okay, but I remember one day at work, one day at home, I was getting ready for work, and my body was like, "No, please, call out. We know you trying to save to get to my body, and I didn't listen. Okay, I didn't listen. I pushed through. I went to work. I want to say maybe being there maybe 2-3 hours. Y'all almost passed out. I had to go home because then I was considered a liability. I had to go home. So it can be an example like that. It can be mentally, physically, financially, spiritually, sexually, emotionally. I need you to write this down because it is your homework. I've mentioned it 3 times. Okay. Write it in a journal, write it somewhere safe. But let me show you one more time. Okay. I want you to write ED, which is your discernment. Put a line and then put FI. Okay. FI is your internal frequency. Your internal frequency is, how do you feel? How is something making you feel when you're trying to do something and something is trying to interfere? Okay, your internal primal energy is what control do you have in that moment? What can you do? All right, in that moment, I could have went up and went in my house. I could have, like I said, forced myself. But this is internal frequency, so this is primal energy. All right, over the external friction. I want you to identify what right now is trying to penetrate your energy, basically at the bottom. Tell me what energy you can do and what you can do, how you see yourself. You can even put a position. All right. You don't have to go into depth of your internal frequency. Just what is your domain? Put your domain at the top And underneath that, I need you to put what's the noise around you, what's trying to interfere, what's trying to distract you. I need you to write it out because I need you to be able to see it. If you can write something out and you can see it, you process it different in your head. Okay? So that's your homework. That's your collective reading. And I will see you guys next Wednesday. Okay? And I'm looking forward to the submission. So submit. You can remain anonymous. You can tell me who you are and say, hey, Roche, Madam Oasis, don't mention me, but you can talk about it, okay? And if not, then just let me know and I won't share it, and it can just be a conversation that we have within ourselves, okay? So next Wednesday will be a little bit more sharper, okay? I won't be all over the place, a little scattered. I'm not going to say this is scattered. I still allowed myself to get the message out, um, but there was a lot that I didn't say. Maybe it wasn't meant. I didn't do my introduction right, whatever. It's not even about none of that. It's about me doing my due diligence, you doing your due diligence, me showing up, you showing up, and us playing a part into something bigger and greater. So I'll see y'all next Wednesday. Not Tuesday. I used to go live Tuesdays, but we changed it to Wednesday. Tuesdays, that's Mars. There was a reason why I was going live on Mars Day. Now we're on Wednesdays. That's Mercury. That is the day of information, doing your due diligence, researching. This is a great day to give someone information so they can do their due diligence. I love you, and I'll see you next Wednesday.